So, hallo, herzlich willkommen zurück zu Let's Play Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Wir sind immer noch bei, dem Gerichtsverfahren wegen Sayakas Tod. Und wir haben zumindest jetzt eine Sache herausgefunden. Und zwar, dass Sayaka einerseits, hatten wir ja schon beim Anfang der letzten Folge, dass die Mordwaffe was war, was sie selber mitgenommen hatte. Also was sie selber dabei hatte, so wie es aussah. Und dass sie die Namensschilder dann zwischen, Makotos und ihrem Zimmer ausgetauscht hat. Also, dass sie wohl vorhatte, irgendwie jemanden dahin zu locken.
What? Inviting someone to your room, but not telling them you'd switched rooms. Why would anyone do that?
To understand that, we first need to understand what happened after she invited the person into the room. That's where the answer lies.
What happened then was probably whoever she invited over came in and attacked her. We figured it out! We know who did it! Whoever she invited over is the culprit!
But we still don't know who it is, you goddamn idiot!
Sayaka fought with her killer there in the room, yes? Perhaps the answer to our previous question lies in that initial struggle.
Yes, I think you're right.
Then we just have to figure out what happened during the fight, right?
That reminds me. There was a replica sword at the murder scene. Was that perhaps used during the fight?
Oh yeah. What's the deal with that sword?
Sayaka suggested I should hold on to it. I thought it might come in handy if I had to defend myself. It seems pretty likely that the killer used it to break Sayaka's right wrist.
How the hell could you possibly know that's what broke her wrist?
The reason I know Sayaka's wrist was broken with a fake sword is because when you look at her wrist, there's no doubt. Moment, Sayaka's wrist.
I got it! All you have to do is take a good look at her broken wrist, and it should become pretty clear. Right there where her wrist is all swollen, there's something glittery there. See?
Is that gold?
It sure is. Specifically, the gold coating from the replica sword. You barely have to touch that stuff, and it'll stick right to you. And there's some on her wrist because...
I got it! Because she got hit with the sword, right there on her wrist!
I see. And so the truth draws ever closer.
Alright, then it's about time to solve this mystery.
What happened in my room and what led to Sayaka's death, that's what we need to make clear. There's a bit more to learn about non-stop debates. Ja gut, her damit. Are you getting used to these non-stop debates? Starting with the next debate, I'll start loading multiple truth bullets into your truth cylinder. But just like with the weak spots, only one of those bullets can actually refute the proper statement. In other words, from here on out, you'll have to combine the right truth bullets with the right weak spots to refute each statement. If you come up with the wrong combination, you'll take damage to your influence gauge. You can press the LB button to rotate the cylinder and choose which bullet to fire. Press and release the LB button to cycle through each bullet. Or you can hold down the LB button, then use the left stick, to select a specific bullet. By the way, if the logic difficulty is set to kind, fewer bullets will be loaded into the cylinder. For our purposes this time, the logic difficulty will be set to mean. Well then, good luck and have fun. Ich habe, glaube ich, auf dem Durchschnitt stehen, also...
When the fighting broke out, the culprit grabbed the sword, and that's when the first blow was dealt. A sword-based sneak attack.
That's what broke Miss Maizono's wrist.
So, she tried to fight back. She grabbed the kitchen knife she had hidden away. But then the culprit took that from her too.
And they killed her with it.
And that's exactly what happened.
If the person with the sword really did attack first, there's no explanation for how a certain part of the sword got damaged.
When the fighting
Genau, das
broke
ist es
out,
eben.
the culprit grabbed, and that's when the first blow was dealt. A sword-based sneak attack.
Eben nicht.
No, it's wrong. Actually, no. I don't think the fight started with the sword.
Why not?
Because the sword's sheath had been scratched. See? There's a gash in it. Like someone cut into it with something sharp.
Something sharp? You mean like the kitchen knife? That was the only sharp thing found at the scene.
Stop jumping ahead. Slow down and explain it so I get what the hell's going on.
If the sword was used first, there wouldn't be any explanation for the scratch on the sheath. If you were going to attack with the sword, you'd take it out of the sheath first, right?
That's true. With the sheath on, it'd be heavy and bulky and useless as shit.
Okay, so how did the sheath get damaged?
If they got attacked with the kitchen knife, maybe they grabbed the sword as a defensive impulse. In that situation, there wouldn't be any time to actually unsheath the sword.
So you're saying the sword was initially used to defend against an attack from the knife?
Which means whoever had the kitchen knife was the one who attacked first.
I think I get it. So here's how it all played out. The culprit came in, found the kitchen knife hidden there somewhere. Then they took the knife and attacked Sayaka before she knew what was happening. So she grabbed the sword to defend herself, but then the culprit took that from her too. Then, after they broke her wrist with the sword, they took the knife and finished it.
Sorry, but I don't think Sayaka used the sword to defend herself.
What? How the hell can you not think that?
Because she never held the sword at all. There's a certain part of her body that makes this clear.
So the part of her body that shows she never used the sword. If you wanted to use the sword, which part of your body would you have to touch it? Or palms.
I got it! You're talking about her palms, right? The palms of her hands were perfectly clean, so I don't think she ever picked up the sword.
How can you know that just by looking at her palms?
Like I said before, the gold coating on that sword comes right off. All you have to do is touch it. In fact, if you look, you'll notice that a lot of the gold has already come off the handle. It's safe to assume that's because whoever used the sword got some of it on their hands. There's really no way she could have picked it up and come away completely clean.
Maybe she washed her hands after she escaped into the bathroom.
Sorry, but I don't think so.
Why do you say that? Is it because you think I'm ugly?
No, that's not it at all.
There's no way Sayaka washed the gold coating off her hands because there's a certain regulation that talks about what happens to the bathroom at nighttime. The water was off.
I got it! According to the Monokuma file, Sayaka's time of death was around 1:30 a.m. In other words, at nighttime. And the water in the bathroom shuts off at nighttime, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Actually, I haven't taken a shower here yet.
Oh my.
You're no different. You smell like a big fat ugly donkey.
I'm not sure whether to take that as an insult or a compliment.
Insult, obviously. So anyway, if Sayaka never touched the sword, then that means the killer is the only one who used the sword. But hold on. If that's right, then the one who damaged the sheath with the kitchen knife was...
The one who damaged the sheath would have to have been the one without the sword.
I got it! Sayaka? She had the kitchen knife?
But we already said that the attack started with...
The person with the knife attacked first, and the sword was used as an impromptu defense.
Then the one who attacked first was...
Sayaka?
Now do you understand? She wasn't a blameless victim in this.
No, far from it. It's almost as if she'd been planning to commit a murder of her own.
What?
She took the knife from the kitchen, then invited the culprit to the room she was staying in. And if it's true that she had the kitchen knife and attacked without provocation...
Indeed. These are all the actions of an assailant.
Which brings up another point. Makoto, Sayaka was the one who suggested you two switch rooms, correct? Maybe the reason she wanted to switch rooms was so that she could pin the crime on you. That is a possibility, is it not?
Sayaka wanted to... on me?
That would also explain why she would switch the nameplates. She wanted to get whoever she had targeted to come to Makoto's room where she was staying. And by committing the murder there, instead of her room, that would implicate Makoto. But for that to work, the target had to be lured out while still keeping the room swap a secret. If the target knew she had switched rooms, they would have become suspicious right away.
So all that's why she switched the names?
But doesn't that plan seem a little risky? For one thing, even if her plan worked, Mr. Naegi would just tell everyone they'd switched rooms.
I don't know. I'm not sure our soft-hearted Makoto is capable of that kind of cutthroat behavior. I'm sure Sayaka realized the same thing, which is why out of all of us, she asked him to switch rooms.
Plus, she was the ultimate pop sensation. A totally forgettable kid. Or a national superstar. Who are you more likely to believe?
Wait, then you're saying she had this all planned out?
Holy shit!
But in the end, her plan backfired. She launched her attack with the knife, then found herself under attack in turn. That must be when her wrist got broken, and she was forced to drop the knife.
The tables were suddenly turned on her, and she died at the hands of the one she planned to murder.
Just hold on! That can't be true! Because...
Hey! You guys have totally derailed the argument. You're being super boring right now. Come on, hurry up and decide who did it. Wouldn't it be awful if I had to punish you all just because you ran out of time?
Oh yeah, we gotta decide who we think did it.
Makoto, right now you just need to concentrate on figuring out the answer to this mystery. If we can't uncover who murdered Sayaka, it's over for all of us.
Is it really all over? Obviously I'm committed to finding out who killed her, but what can I do? I mean, as far as clues go, there's nothing left.
It's easy just to say, hey, decide who did it. But there just aren't any more clues, right?
Very well. Then let's review all the clues we've found up to this point one more time.
Do we really have time for all that?
Die! If we don't do something, we're all gonna die!
There's still one clue left, I'm sure of it. Sayaka left it on the wall she was leaning up against.
It's easy just to say, hey, but there just aren't any more clues, right? No, it's wrong.
Aus irgendeinem Grund hatten wir da jetzt auch wieder nur eine Kugel drin.
There still might be one clue left. Sayaka's dying message. Dying? Wait, what did you say?
The dying message. She wrote something on the wall behind her, remember? 11037. Written in her own blood. There must be a clue about the killer hidden in there.
Well, before we get too far into that, I need to ask, can we really be sure that Sayaka is the one who wrote it?
There's no question that Sayaka wrote that message, and I can prove it. Left index finger.
I got it! Her left index finger had blood on it. That could only be because she used that finger to write the message.
I see. She broke her right wrist during the fight, so she'd have to use her left hand to write.
Sure, I think we can all agree Sayaka wrote it. But still... what the heck do those numbers mean? 11037?
Hey, Chihiro. You're a computer nerd or whatever, right? You should know all about numbers and shit.
No, that's not... Yes, I'm a programmer, but I don't see any kind of meaning in these numbers.
Of course. It's because they're not numbers.
Oh, yeah, it looks like...
Huh? What?
No, it's just look at the numbers, assuming they're not numbers. Don't these first two, 1, 1, look less like two numbers and more like one letter?
Ah, you're right. The connecting line is barely there, so I assumed it was 1, 1, but looking at it now, you could also read it as an N.
Whoa, you might have finally just said something worth a shit.
Our little gray cells are really getting excited now.
But even if that really is an N037, doesn't make any more sense than before.
Damn it. It's no use. I just don't know.
Rotate the image 180 degrees.
Huh? Rotate it. I think maybe I see something.
Oh my god. Now I see. She wrote down the killer's name.
Huh? You just shot past the clue part and right onto who did it. So, whose name did she write?
Sayaka's dying message reveals the real killer's name. If you turn her message 180 degrees, it should become crystal clear. Tja.
Here's my answer. The key to solving this mystery was simply to rotate the writing 180 degrees. If you turn the message around, it becomes the letters L-E-O-N. L-E-O-N, or more accurately, Leon.
What the hell are you talking about? It's just a coincidence. It's just a bunch of random squiggles that happen to look like my name.
No, it's not random at all. She wrote that message on the wall behind her as she was leaning up against it. In that position, she couldn't move to write normally, and had to write upside down, as it were. And as a result, when you look at it standing in front of her, it ends up getting flipped. Try it for yourself if you want. Write something sitting like her, and the letters will be inverted.
That sounds like one hell of a stretch to me. I'm the killer? You can't just go and say shit like that.
If you're not the killer, then why did you try to destroy the evidence?
Huh?
You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The evidence Leon tried to get rid of?
The evidence Leon tried to get rid of? Is that? It's that thing I found on the ground in front of the incinerator, right?
I got it! You mean the burnt shirt piece I found laying on the ground by the incinerator, right?
As the killers stabbed Sayaka, they must have gotten some of her blood on them. And to dispose of the shirt covered in the victim's blood, they threw it into the incinerator.
But one piece burned off and got left behind.
And the killer didn't notice. If they had, they most certainly would have panicked. Isn't that right, Leon?
But is one scrap of fabric enough to conclude that Leon is guilty?
Yeah, I mean, Leon's not the only one wearing a white button-up.
That's right. There are plenty of other people here with shirts like mine. With just that one little charred piece, there's no way you can say for sure who it belongs to.
You're right. That alone isn't enough. But there are some other points that may reveal the truth.
Are you finally starting to understand? The answers to all the riddles are right here.
Yeah, I think so.
The burnt remains of the button-up shirt, which the killer wasn't able to get rid of. There's something about it we need to pay attention to in order to figure out who's responsible. how it was disposed of, where it was disposed of. Ich glaub, where the shirt was destroyed, if we focus on that, the killer will become clear. Where it was destroyed, you're talking about the trash room incinerator, right? How the fuck's that supposed to make anything clear? Okay, das war die falsche Antwort. Manchmal ist es ein bisschen schwierig hier. I just embarrassed myself in front of everyone. But remains something. How?
I got it! If we look closely at how the shirt was disposed of, we should be able to figure out who the killer is.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I think I know what you're gonna say. You can't reach the incinerator without opening the gate in front of the trash room, right? And obviously, you wouldn't be able to hit the switch to turn it on either. You'd need the key to get in, and the one with the key was the person on cleaning duty. So the killer had to be whoever was in charge of taking care of the trash, right?
Interesting.
No, that's wrong. There was another way to use the incinerator without being the one on cleaning duty. And that's exactly what proves that Leon is the real killer.
The key to the trash room. Whoever was on cleaning duty must have had it, right?
So the only one who could get to the incinerator was the person in charge of the trash?
And you'd have to get close to the incinerator in order to destroy the evidence. Which means the only possible suspect is whoever had the trash room key.
Okay, so the person who would have had the trash room key was... Huh? Me? No!
There absolutely was a way to use the incinerator without using the trash room key. The killer was able to turn the incinerator on by using something I found on the ground nearby.
The key to the trash, whoever was on clip.
So the only one, the person who...
And you'd have to get close to the incinerator. No, that's wrong.
Hold on. I think I know how someone could dispose of the evidence without using the trash room key.
But if you can't get past the gate, you couldn't possibly turn on the incinerator, could you?
Yes, you could. If you used this.
What is it, some kind of glass ball? It's busted to hell.
Actually, it was supposed to be a crystal ball,
But how would you use it?
The killer had to use the glass ball in a certain way, which was throw it.
I got it! The killer simply took aim at the incinerator switch and threw the ball through a gap in the gate. All they had to do was hit that switch, and the incinerator would come to life.
Someone threw a gap in the gate?
Remember what you said before, Hifumi?
Huh? Someone turned the incinerator on? Very strange. I'm quite certain it was off last time I was down here. Perhaps it was the work of a fairy.
Hifumi had the key, so the only way the incinerator could have been turned on without his knowledge was because the killer was able to hit the switch without opening the gate. Once they got the incinerator going, all they had to do was ball up the shirt and toss it in.
Hey, come on! What the hell is this?
All you have to do is look at the scene to know that the killer never actually went inside the trash room. The shards of broken glass, the incinerator left running, the piece of shirt that escaped the fire. If the killer had been on cleaning duty, the evidence would have been taken care of much more thoroughly.
Wait, no, just hold on.
But the distance from the gate to the incinerator has to be at least 30 feet, right? The pinpoint accuracy you'd need to throw a glass ball that far and hit something that small. Could someone really do that?
That's right. There's no way. It'd be impossible.
Ob das wirklich unmöglich ist, würde ich sagen, das erfahren wir in der nächsten Folge. Ich finde es persönlich sehr gut, dass man hier auch mitten im Trial speichern kann. Aber ja. Seid ihr darauf gekommen, dass er das sein könnte? Ich sag trotzdem noch könnte, man weiß ja nie. Aber ja, ich würde sagen, wir schauen uns dann das Ende dieses Class Trials auf jeden Fall in der nächsten Folge an. In dieser wird es nichts mehr. Dafür zieht sich das doch etwas länger an als gedacht. Aber gut, das sind ja auch immer die spannenden Teile dieses Projekts, dieses Spiels. Ich hoffe, ihr habt Spaß. Das konstruktive Kritik da, vielleicht ein Däumchen nach oben. Und wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal wieder, wenn es wieder heißt Let's Play Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Bis dahin. Cheerio.